Welcome to Reboot Cyber with Avertro, the Boardroom series.
Welcome back to Reboot Cyber with Avertro, the Boardroom series. Now, thank you everyone for all the love and support for season 1. It's been a fantastic season with some great guests. We thought for this last episode for season 1, we'd close off and kind of mimic a boardroom style conversation with our CEO, Ian Yip, and our product manager, Priyal. Now, in this episode, we kind of wanted to talk about some of the challenges and issues we faced in 2021. A look ahead, because we get asked quite a lot as to what 2022 is looking like for Avertro. Some of the topics and subjects we're really passionate about when it comes to cybersecurity, and then just some quick fire questions towards the end. So, to get started, my first question, I guess, is a look back and a reflection on 2021. And Ian, let's talk about, I guess, some of the challenges we faced in Avertro.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge of 2021 was it was more of 2020. We expected 2021 to be a little different and to open it up a little bit more. But for those of you familiar with selling and how you speak to potential customers and get feedback for product-related things or have a conversation about how we can solve somebody's problem, it's much more difficult when you can't have events, when you can't have face-to-face discussions. Everything's over video, so things tend to get elongated. At the same time, I think a lot of people are also still trying to figure out what this new normal looks like, even though we thought we got over it in 2020. So velocity was a challenge for us. And if you think about us being a early stage startup, the other lens and the other pressure point we have for how people view us is the fact that we need to be running at specific speeds that I think the venture capitalist world or the startup world expects a startup to run at, but they're still measuring it on pre-COVID metrics. But now we're in post-COVID metrics, and I think that navigating that is a little bit different nowadays, and people are still coming around to that. Even when we raised funding middle of last year, and even now we're not technically raising around yet, but having some of those early conversations has I think made it clear to us that some people have different views of what velocity needs to look like for a company at our stage. And then beyond that, it's skill shortages, which I think everyone's speaking about, whether it's a security person or whether it's a engineer. It's just really hard to find great people. So we're very fortunate in having really great people on our team, but we still need more people, and it does take time to find those people. And secondarily, we're also competing, and I've been on record as saying, so we're competing with big global giants in terms of some of those salaries that I won't name any names, but you know who I mean, maybe paying certain engineers that makes it very difficult for a sovereign Australian early stage startup to compete with.
Now, Priyal, I guess because you're hands deep in our product development, if we've talked about challenges that the product has in the last year, so what are some of the challenges you feel kind of were pivotal in 2021?
I guess to sort of talk a bit about the product, some of the features that we've sort of built into the product are very different and very niche, and you wouldn't see those use cases in other cybersecurity products that are out there. So being a B2B platform, we're very proud of some of the clients that we're working with, which are very large enterprise clients within the Australian economy
and Hong Kong now,
and Hong Kong. And as I said, I'd like to start on a good note. So I've really appreciated the trust that they've put in us, and it makes me and the team very happy to see how we've helped solve some of their key pain points when it comes to managing cybersecurity risk, managing maturity, managing the cybersecurity programs. But a challenge obviously comes, especially when you're working with enterprise customers, is the reservation of working with a startup as opposed to working with companies that have products that have been around in the market for years. So that is definitely a challenge that we're having to work through and creating that trust. But looking at the reviews and some of the feedback that we've received from our existing clients, that's definitely been helpful, and the feedback, we've definitely taken all of that on, and we have a really exciting roadmap coming up.
But wouldn't you say the challenge kind of helps us in the sense because we're solving a problem other companies are yet to solve. So even though we may only be a few years founded, we're kind of very ahead when it comes to a problem that a lot of our clients or customers, have been experiencing for many years.
Yeah, definitely. When people ask me, okay, what's that one key critical problem that your product solves? My favorite one's always, we help you get rid of your spreadsheets and your PowerPoints, and we basically make sure that we've created that system that it can be your one-stop shop for everything cyber. Maybe 90% for now, but we will get to 100% very, very soon.
Wow.
So that's I guess, to put it very simply, that's a key problem that we solve, and we make sure that things within your cybersecurity function do not have to operate in silos. Your cyber risk is usually managed by team A, and your cyber maturity is managed by team B, and these two teams rarely even talk to each other. So we just want to make sure that whatever metrics finally get presented back to the board, or metrics that get presented to your leaders who then need to make very important decisions, they're made with data and metrics that are defensible as well as true and accurate.
And contextualized. So
yes,
everyone
and contextualized.
Coming from someone who hasn't been in cybersecurity for too long, it's a platform that even I can understand. So I guess let's get to some of the juicy stuff. I'm very excited for us to talk about what's coming up in 2022. So, Ian, do you want to let them in on some things what's going on within Avertro?
I mean, look, 2022, we've got a lot of pressure to move really fast.
Yep.
I think, thankfully, the world has opened up a little bit again. So the three of us have obviously been doing a lot of planning for various things, right? From a go-to-market standpoint, from a sales standpoint, from a product standpoint. Our roadmap is written already through the end of the year, so there's lots of things. There's no shortage of things we could build or should build. So there's a lot there that we believe are world firsts. You may have already seen, we announced that we are collaborating with the University of Queensland on an exercise that will hopefully benefit leaders and executives and board members, so we're very excited about that. And we're also working with another university who we can't announce just yet, but I literally just signed the collaboration agreement yesterday on some AI threat risk related activity that will help their research and also help feed in to our solution to be able to provide more value to our customers. So that's also very exciting. I think it gives us a lot of deep tech capability that we can build further into the platform for our customers, which is great. It's always great when you can build stuff that's patentable, because the market loves that. And for all you VCs out there, you love patentable things. So we're working on things that can be patented. Our engineering team and our data science team are also working on our own R&D around machine learning and AI and natural language processing to remove friction. We're working a lot of stuff to remove friction. From a business standpoint, we've also just announced that we're on the Going Global program. Thank you, Investment New South Wales and the New South Wales government, to go global to the USA. So we're on their intensive 5 to 6 months program. This morning I was just on the kickoff thingy with a whole bunch of other fellow cyber startups to accelerate our journey for the USA, to make connections, to really get into the market and bring what we have been delivering to Asia Pacific customers to the world, and doubling down on what we're doing in Asia as well. We've got other partnerships in other parts of the world with channel partners, with technology partners like Clarity, to be able to collaborate and do really, really fancy and cool things. And cybersecurity, it's really important to collaborate. Collaboration is key to getting an outcome, not just for us, but for our customers, for our partners, for the industry, to be able to amplify each other's abilities and data to gain more insights. Obviously, the team's going to grow. And then we may also do a funding round. So we're thinking through that as well. We're not officially open, but we've also had a few people literally ask us here and there just randomly when our funding round's open and when can they invest. So we are thinking through that. There's obviously a lot of machinations and metrics that we've got to massage and refine and figure out things like valuations and how much are we raising and all those kinds of things, which if you're a startup founder or you've been in startups, you know what I mean. If you haven't been one, you can call one of us one day and we'll explain it to you, but it's fun for the most part, but they're not so fun in some other bits. So a lot of activity, right? So we want to grow our engineering team, we want to grow our go-to-market team, we want to double down on the time that the three of us that you see here sitting in front of you spend on making sure that we're focused on the right things and making the best use of our time. Because as a startup, one thing you don't have is time.
And Priyal, what about from product? What are you excited about? Not just with Cyber HQ.
So there is a project that I'm currently working on with some of the engineers. It's called Project Golden Gate. So hopefully that it's we named it Golden Gate because that's our we hope that it'll one day help us get to Silicon Valley. So that I'm definitely excited for Golden Gate. I don't want to give away too much, but one of the use cases does involve, can I say
cryptocurrency specifically.
Crypto technology. But we want to keep up, obviously. So, cybersecurity already is a subject that changes pretty much every day. But now for us to remain relevant, we need to keep up with the metaverse and the NFTs and all the TLT stuff.
So what I'll say there is, I think we don't like using buzzwords and
for the
tech
sake
just for the
of
sake
it.
of using it. We are doing a lot of exploration and R&D
Yes.
spend. But the team always jokes that I spend all my time complaining about how much money we have to spend on everything. But yes, we do want to explore emerging areas.
There's heaps. So obviously in product, one of the things that we want to do is have an open mind, be super creative, and find creative and innovative ways to solve problems. And there's a lot of problems that we're trying to solve. I think within product management, just going back to your earlier question, one of the things I'm really challenges plus of something very exciting to do is the sheer diversity of roles that we can now introduce into cybersecurity. So given we're a cybersecurity startup, product manager, so trying to bring product management together with design, together with cybersecurity was a very interesting challenge for me. Our designer Ryan is his background is graphic design and UI UX, but today he can talk about cybersecurity pretty much to anyone.
Ryan's just over here.
He's helping us with the camera.
So it just makes me very happy that people with very diverse backgrounds, people management, project management, design, HR, all these skills are so very transferable when it comes to cybersecurity.
Criminology.
Olivia,
come over here and pop your head in. Olivia's over there.
So that's and that's kind of what makes me happy, and I'm passionate to use all these diverse thinking and their diverse perspectives to build out this product and make it very relevant to whether if you're a security leader, if you're a security architect, if you're a CEO, if you're a CTO, just make it an all-rounder, super user-friendly platform for everyone.
Definitely, and I think we were really fortunate enough, thanks Abigail, to attend the Women in Security Awards last week, and a hot topic, I guess, was talking about the roles within cybersecurity, and I myself haven't been in security for too long, more from a digital tech background, and I think, the archaic days where we thought cybersecurity was the silo team with just engineers and people hiding in a room doing things like that is just such a wrong perception of the cybersecurity industry, and the diversity of roles that are now available within cybersecurity is just so vast. So when it comes to skill shortage, I think a big thing is the perception of cybersecurity, and we need to champion more what you can do within cybersecurity. Not even from a startup perspective, it's fantastic because I love that we get to have hybrid roles and we get to try different things. Which is one of the, I think personally, a pro for working in a startup space. but I also, you touched on it with your interview with Jackie, is just, and I guess you've just touched on skills shortage, is just diversifying the perception of cybersecurity and the roles that can be received within there.
And I think Ian wrote about this as well. So when, people talk about diversity, usually people just refer to gender diversity, just having, enough, like an equal combination of male and female. But diversity is so much more than that. Diversity is basically having people with very different perspectives, very different experiences, very different backgrounds, all in the same room and trying to solve that one problem. And it's a quote that I recently used in an article. Strength lies in differences, not in similarities. And that's one of our the values that everyone in our team holds on to very tightly. So very proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things people always say to us when they immediately go to our team webpage is, your team's very diverse. And I said, well, we're diverse by design. You, as much as you say you want to let serendipity hit, or you always want to hire for merit, that's a first. However, if you don't actively do something, it's very difficult to make it happen. So when people ask me, like, how did you make sure the team was so diverse like this? The answer is you do it from day one. We're diverse from day zero. And we're diverse by design, and I think we're better for it, and we will continue to keep doing that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
100%. I think, everyone has very good ideas to contribute and very good.
And I guess lastly, I get from the awards, which I thought was a great initiative, and apologies, I've forgotten the speaker's name that popped up, but she mentioned she had one task for all the females in the room. I myself was so surprised with some of the nomination categories. One I was just saying to Priyal earlier, it was like 10 people were nominated across Australia for female engineer, for top female engineer, and her request for everyone in the room, and that wasn't just females, it was females and males from many different organisations, was to try and find 2 females and get them employed within cybersecurity or security within our industry. And I just thought that was a fantastic task, because I'm very proud. We've got a lot of females working in Avertro, and we're going to increase that next year.
That was Anu Kuka from IBM. Hi, Anu.
Oh, yes, Anuka. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we've all taken it upon ourselves to find 2 or more is better, women, and encourage them and to join or break into the industry. We're all there to help. So if anyone who's listening is wanting tips on how to enter the industry, feel free to reach out whenever.
Priyal just wrote an article in Financy.
Yes, finance.
Yes.
Yeah, so I come from a finance and accounting background, and I always tell people this: if someone like myself, who has absolutely no technical, like, academic skill sets, can break into the industry, like, there's nothing stopping any of you out there. It's all the industry needs is someone who's passionate, someone who's motivated, and someone who is genuinely hardworking. So I think you just need those 3 key skill sets, and I think those will definitely set you up for success.
And so Ian and Priyal don't know this yet, but I'm going to do some quick fire questions with you guys to answer. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So let's think about some of the things, the core topics that we like, that Avertro has, I guess, thought leadership on. First one, I think we're big at championing being a startup. So when you think of a startup, what is a pro that you think of?
In
working in a startup.
Working in a startup?
Yeah.
Agility and decision making.
Yeah, speed and empowerment.
Yes.
But I think that starts with the team around you.
Yep.
So you have to give people the power to run at speed that you need. So I think that's what you're going to get in a startup, and you have to. There's no other way to run it.
Okay. Biggest misconception around cybersecurity? Quick.
You need to be technical.
Yeah, I think that's still, no matter how much we say
we
shouldn't
talk
be,
about
people
it.
constantly just say you need to be technical, which Actually, if you flip the switch a little bit, it's actually, in some cases, it's hard to hire people for roles that we might need, because everybody wants to be a pen tester. And I've written about this as well. You don't need to be a pen tester or a SecOps analyst or whatever. There are roles in governance, the risk, compliance, education, awareness.
That's like
many,
broad
many,
influence.
project
so
management, business analysis,
Yeah.
product management, marketing. So you don't need to be pen tester. And I think that's the problem in terms of the skill shortage, is people immediately go, oh, if you're going to do that, I have to be a pen tester or a SecOps analyst, and I don't want to do that because maybe it's not your forte, or you're just not interested. But yeah, I'd agree. It is that you have to be technical. You don't.
You just need to, never mind.
That's not to say it's not important to be technical. Of course, there's still space to have very technical people, and we wouldn't be what we are without all the technical folks. Back to the whole diversity thing, right? I think particularly as the industry changes, we do need the technical folks, but then we complement our traditional technical teams that are still extremely important with all the diversity that everybody else with different skills brings to the party to be able to deal with this global page one level risk threat, whatever you want to call cybersecurity is today, that you can't deal with just by talking about speeds and feeds and open ports and scans on websites and all the and 0 days and CVEs, and I mean half the things I just said probably don't make sense for a non-technical person, right?
I have no
exactly.
idea.
But it's not just about that.
And the nature of cybersecurity has also expanded over the years. So as I mentioned earlier, it's not just an IT problem that a group of people need to fix. It's the problem lies with everyday processes, everyday like people, process, technology, and you might have heard the saying, people are your weakest links. So the number one sure shot way of managing security is awareness. And if you want to protect what's important within your company, even forget companies, even within your own home, people need to know what the right things to do are when it comes to security, or when it comes to sort of being responsible online.
Second last question. Team culture, biggest requirement for a good team culture, especially in this new working remote age?
Empathy and patience.
Yes, respect. But I think one thing that sometimes gets left out in the world that we live in today, where it is very important to be empathetic and to have patience, but also if you talk about performance, like a high performance culture, I think the balance there is to instill a high performance culture in a organization, and we feel it all the time, right? Because we want to be nice, we want to be respectful, you want to not overstep your boundaries, but at the same time you have to keep everybody accountable. And I'll sound like a broken record because the team hears it from me all the time, but you still need to keep everybody accountable, including yourself. The first thing is I've got to keep myself accountable, because if you don't keep yourself accountable, then nobody else is going to keep themselves accountable, and so on. So I think one of the toughest part about culture is that if you really want to maintain that kind of culture, you've got to find the right balance to still be able to meet your goals, get your targets, get them on time, run at the speed you need to, because one of the superpowers a startup has is our speed. We can build something into the platform probably 10 times faster than a much larger player, not because we have more people, we have a lot less people, but our decision-making ability is much quicker. Our ability to focus on exactly the problem we're trying to solve is much quicker. We can get straight to the customer, we can iterate on things, it's much more agile. I'll give you an example, right? Our third-party module that we have in the platform was built in a month based on a customer request that we responded to as quickly as we could, because we were trying to meet their needs, and that would turn out to be a good decision at the time. At the time, we weren't sure if it was the right decision, because we didn't want to be a supply chain third-party platform, but we've got the whole capability in it, and now we keep iterating on it because people use it, and it's very valuable to them, thankfully. But I think if that kind of request came into a huge player, it would probably taken them 12 months to get out there, right? And one thing one of our customers said, a ASX listed company, was, we asked, what do you like about us? And they said, we love how quickly you can get stuff out, because some of our other solution providers could not release things as quickly as you can, and you're building a lot of additional value and capability every time we have a chat to you or get a update from you, because we do meet our customers monthly just to get feedback, just tell them what's going on, because we value that connection and we want to keep the connection. So I'd say to maintain that, we have to keep the high performance culture up, but at the same time, yes, we have to be empathetic, we have to be respectful, we have to respect each other's boundaries, and also understand where everyone's coming from. Everyone's different, right? So one of the biggest challenges, I think, as a leader, all three of us are leaders, right, in our own ways, is understanding that people interact with each other differently. So the way you interact with, so if me speaking to Priyal, I talk to Priyal a little differently to the way I speak to Sophia, because we're all different and we're all wired differently, and we all respond differently to things, and it takes a lot of empathy, I think, to be able to tune into that rather than just be a knobhead about how you do stuff.
And especially from a working remote perspective, like I thought at first I was a bit skeptical on this. We use a program called Gather, and it's like a virtual office space. But honestly, you can pick up on people's quirks, because like it's a beautiful virtual office, and you can all make your own desks, and you can put niceties on your desk which kind of reflect your personality. So you kind of got a little window into what someone's like, because most of the team, even though I've been with the company nearly a year, I hadn't met them. So it was a beautiful way to connect rather than just opening up a Zoom meeting or a Google Meet meeting. It was a nice way to just like visit someone virtually via their desk if necessary, go for a walk. There's a virtual beach. Some people would go for a walk on the beach with me. So it was kind of a nice team bonding exercise as well, because we couldn't be together. So,
100%.
Yeah. All right, last question. So when we look at 2022, what are you most excited about?
There's so many things.
No, one. You gotta do one.
Golden Gate and GTM to Singapore and the US.
Yeah, okay. They're good.
For me, it's potential. Like, we have a lot of potential in this team, right? We have a lot of potential. And I'm speaking to, I know all of you out there, but I'm also kind of speaking to the team. We have so much potential, we just have to execute on it. And I think if we execute on it, there's no reason why we can't be where we want to be. Obviously, I'm not going to say what our targets are, but the team knows what our targets are. And we will hit them if we fulfill our potential. It's as simple as that. And it takes a couple of things. It takes focus. It takes the right perspective on things. It takes working together. It takes agreeing on what we should work on, and then also agreeing on what we shouldn't waste our time on. We sometimes end up spending a bit longer than we should on certain things, but that's just to work through things. So I think that's actually part of why we're all in the same room right now, where we've got our all hands team thing tomorrow, where we've got to work through some of these things and also get the connections that we probably couldn't get as good as Gather is. It doesn't replace in-person type interactions, and there's no replacement for the around the table, around the bar kind of conversations, or coffee, depending on your beverage of choice, that you just can't get over video. And I think that's back to the challenges. I know I wasn't allowed too many challenges, but one of the things was just maintaining connections between the team members, because I can only do so much, and we can all only do so much. And when you're missing that, you don't get the connections you need to be firing all the cylinders to get stuff done, because you can't form the bonds to almost anticipate when somebody's going to react, or how they're going to react, or what they're going to tell you before they say it, because you can go that much quickly if you can do that, rather than if you don't have the connection, which is harder to do if you're just videoing. You sometimes will take longer to do things because of that. So I'm just grateful we're able to do that now, and hopefully next year we can do more of it.
Well, it's been an amazing year. I'm very proud to work at Avertro, and thank you to all of our guests that were featured on Reboot Cyber this season, and stay tuned for what we have in store for season 2. It's only going to get bigger and better. Have a great Merry Christmas for those who celebrate, and a wonderful New Year, and we look forward to seeing you all hopefully more in person in 2022.